now, ladies and gentlemen, with his big announcement, a guy we love, Stephen A. Smith.
Well,
Stephen A. Smith.
Looking very serious there. We just saw him.
Well, he has
up.
a very serious announcement to make.
Okay.
Stephen, first of all, good morning. Do you think?
Good morning.
I was thinking about you. Without the A, your career would not have been as big, I think. You had to be Stephen A. And I even noticed on TV when I was watching the Knicks and stuff, they always go, "Where's Stephen A? Stephen A."
Well,
you needed the A. You needed it.
Well, I mean, in hindsight, I can understand you deducing that maybe you're right. I don't think so, but maybe you're right. But I did it as a tribute to my mom. That was the reason why. You remember, if you're in my book, Straight Shooter, when I came on, and thank you for allowing me to come on and promote the book, when I did over a year ago, I wrote in the book that, my name was a byproduct of, just my support and my undying devotion and love to my mother. I got left back in the fourth grade. I still had a first grade reading level. I was struggling. I had dyslexia and all of that stuff. And my mother was just a tireless warrior on my behalf, pushing me, supporting me, and all of this other stuff. And I always hated my name growing up because I hated the PH, because when she got mad at me, she would call me Stephen, not Stephen. And it drove me nuts. And so when I was making it and, getting myself started in the industry, to go from where I was to literally being a journalist, an aspiring journalist in college, it was a tribute to her when I said Stephen A. That's all I was thinking about. I had no idea that it would morph into this.
I thought it was because the name Steve Smith is so common. I mean, there's probably 10 billion in the United States alone.
Yes.
Steve Smiths. You couldn't be Steve Smith. I mean, as a broadcaster, you don't stick out enough.
You could find a way to stand out despite the commonality of the name. That would have been a challenge in and of itself, and I would have embraced that too. But Stephen A. has worked out for me, so why should I complain?
Do any of your friends refer to you as Steve or Stevie or something like that? Or always...
Some of my boys growing up, they call me Steve. My boys that I've come to love and know in my adult life, they call me Stevie A or Stephen A. So either one works. It don't matter to me.
It works.
Doesn't matter to me at all.
Before I get to your big announcement, I'm excited for the big announcement. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we were talking earlier in our ignorant way about the Knicks, because I am a huge Knicks fan. I love the Knicks. I've always loved the Knicks, but I don't know a lot about it. In fact, I could barely watch the playoff games because I felt I was jinxing them when I would tune in. Have you ever heard of that kind of superstition? I felt I was negatively affecting the Knicks because every time I tune in, they would fall behind every time I tuned in. I said,
"Well, let me help you out. Let me help you out. Life is short, okay? You got to value the moments, Howard Stern. It's one thing to walk away from the screen and not be able to watch them in the moment."
Right.
Like, oh, my goodness, it's the fourth quarter. There's 2 minutes left. I can't take this. The stress is too great. I understand that part. But it's 48 minutes in the game. It lasts about 2 to 2.5 hours. You could watch the Knicks, man, come to playoff time. You can't just not watch the Knicks and just root for them so emphatically and so enthusiastically, but you don't even watch the game. You got to watch some of it.
Well, I watched some of it. It was painful. Here's the thing. And again, it's even silly for me to comment, but it really is a question. In my opinion, even though I watched a total of 15 minutes of a game, the Knicks took a little bit and stretched it a lot. And I attribute some of that to the coach. In other words, the Knicks they don't have those real, Jalen Brunson's fabulous and a lot of great players on there, of course, but they don't have that, they don't have a Kobe. They don't have a Shaq. They don't have, and so the coach got them very far. When they beat the Celtics, I couldn't believe it because the Celtics on paper, at least, are a much better team.
Neither could we.
Right. Was this fair that Tom Thibodeau got fired yesterday?
I don't want to say it seems unfair. I don't like it because the man took you within 2 games of an NBA Finals. You beat the reigning defending NBA champion Boston Celtics to get to that conference finals.
Right.
But you did lose to the Indiana Pacers in back-to-back years. And I watched them, and this is the issue with the New York Knicks. On one hand, Tom Thibodeau is a master at peeling out all that you have. He will work you tirelessly he will grind you into the ground. That is true. And that is something that I've been critical about him with. Kenny Smith, the TNT, had the line of the year where he said about Tom Thibodeau, he wouldn't want to play 9 guys in a baseball game. It's just the way he is. You got 5 guys on the basketball court. You look at the Indiana Pacers, they go 9 to 10 deep. You look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, they go 9 to 10 deep. Those are the 2 teams that's going to be in the NBA Finals. They utilize their depth. They work to that. They manufacture it. They work it out throughout the year. So come playoff time, they're ready for the postseason. Tom Thibodeau didn't do that. However, when he had to, he went with a deeper lineup due to guys getting in foul trouble and stuff like that in this series. And when he did that, they won 2 of those 3 games when he went and utilized his bench a bit more. So in a strange kind of way, that made the case for the New York Knicks to say, we've had this personnel available to you. Your stubbornness, your rigidity, etc., prevented you from going against what you do conventionally and listening to us. And it was just time to go in a different direction because we had somebody that we gave parts to that didn't want to listen to us. And now it's come back to bite us. They can look at it that way. We also have to look at the fact that they had a lead in game 1. They were up 17 points with 6.5 minutes left in game 1. 14 points with 2 minutes and 51 seconds left. 9 points up with 52 seconds left. And still managed to lose that game, which to me blew the series, because if you win that game, in all likelihood, this series goes 7 games. So that was definitely something that you look at as well. My issue with on the Knicks side of it, however, is that if you're going to let go of a man who's produced so much for you, you went from the first round to the second round to a game 7 in the second round to the conference finals this year over the last 4 years. If you're going to make a change like that, could you have the decency to stand before the media and give us an explanation as to why that is? James Dolan, throughout his stewardship, he has been absolutely positively awful with the media, just low class. And Leon Rose, the president of basketball operations, who for the most part has done a really damn good job of stewarding the New York Knicks, he ain't much better when it comes to dealing with the media. It's cowardice. It's like they want to hide and not answer any questions about why they do what they do, but yet they want you to patronize their product and pack Madison Square Garden and go crazy over the New York Knicks, which we do prematurely, I might add, foolishly at times, I might add. I'm right in the mix as a diehard Knicks fan. We're all guilty of it. But in the end, you just look at them and you just say, damn, can't you be better? You want your team to be better. You want the public to be better. You want the support or whatever. Can't you ever be better? The answer with the New York Knicks with James Dolan and Leon Rose, specifically when it comes to dealing with the media, is an emphatic no. They're childish. They're cowardice as far as I'm concerned. And they just don't stand up and answer to the viewing public, the paying public. And I think with the support, the unwavering, undying support that they receive for that franchise, New York Knicks fans deserve better than what they get in terms of simply hearing from these guys as to what they're doing, why they're doing it, and stand up in the face of scrutiny and stand on your decisions. I think New York Knicks fans deserve that, but that's how I feel about it.
Now, let me distance myself a bit from your comments because I got to get those courtside seats. So I don't blame any of them.
Hold on, stop right there. Stop right there.
Yeah,
that's exactly my point. Right. I know that you're half joking about it at the very least. I can't tell you how many stars I know that are deadly serious when they utter those exact same words. They have their New York Knicks seats. They do not want it jeopardized, and they are worried that if they utter the wrong syllable, the New York Knicks will find a way to confiscate their tickets and give it to somebody else. Now, tell me what sense that makes. I mean, that is petty. Yeah. That is petty as it comes. So I understand you can't say it. I know this is the Howard Stern show. This is not Howard Stern. This is Stephen A. Smith. Excuse my language. Excuse my language. That's some weak-ass shit that they're doing. That's horrible.
Well, let me just say something again, because everyone knows I have to sit in the front row. If I am relegated to the third row, let's say, or even the fourth row, people will think I'm not happening. They'll think I'm B-list. So you understand.
That's not. Well, that's, you know, when Nick said that, I get your point there. I get your point there. All I'm saying is that you should not have to worry about your seats being confiscated.
Do you worry that something? Are you allowed into the Garden to enjoy a game?
Absolutely.
I go to the Garden.
I go to the Garden. No. I go to the Garden to work. I have a media
Yes.
credential. I'm there to work. They don't do me any favors. When I have a courtside seat, it's because I'm going with somebody who has them, and they don't announce that I'm coming. Hell, I think if they did, the New York Knicks would do everything they can to remove me from those seats. I wouldn't put it past them. That's how petty they are, because I'm a diehard Knicks fan, and that I'm not going to be objective and emotional about them in terms of how I feel about them. I'm objective and straight up in terms of my reporting for what I see, but I don't hide my disgust and annoyance with them when they engage in such petulance. That press release that they released yesterday, that statement by Leon Rose, my words were, it's a weak ass statement. There's no excuse to you to make a move like this, and you're not standing front and center explaining to folks why exactly you're doing that. Anywhere else they would do it. You know why? Because they would be scared that the fan base would turn against them. Outside of the Los Angeles Lakers, they'd probably be scared of the reaction, and they'd make sure to address it. Remember when you had this guy Nico Harrison who runs the Dallas Mavericks. You trade Luka, he had to come out front and center immediately. This is what we did. This is why we're doing it. Man, there were cops in his backyard guarding him for weeks. People wanted to kill this man because he traded a guy like Luka Doncic. And I'm saying to you, the New York Knicks reputation under the stewardship of James Dolan and ultimately Leon Rose, they would sit up there and issue some statement that says pretty much nothing, and then you'd literally have to get the CIA or the FBI involved to find them.
Have you ever had a chance to sit down with Mr. Dolan or Mr. Rose and say, listen, guys, this is unacceptable, or would they not even speak to you?
No, they will not. Well, first of all, Dolan wouldn't speak to anybody. I mean, this man runs the media is like the plague to him. You know what I'm saying? He'd run and hide in a quick second. Leon Rose and I have known each other for over 25 years. Oh. And it was only when he became the head of basketball operations for the New York Knicks, that suddenly he's just not available. Now, one could surmise that it's that way because you're working for James Dolan. Maybe Leon Rose is doing it on his own. Maybe he's compelled because he's working under Dolan, and Dolan's all panicky about every little thing that affects the business of Madison Square Garden and the New York Knicks franchise. He's not this way with the Rangers, but for some reason he's been this way with the New York Knicks. I don't know. All I'm saying is, I'm not here to tell you that Leon Rose has done a bad job. He's done some questionable things like trading 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges, which pretty much hampers hampers them to some degree in terms of what future moves they can make, and we'll see what they figure out. But the bottom line is that he's done a damn good job resurrecting the New York Knicks franchise, and I'm not here to challenge that. I'm proud of the job that he has done in terms of running the New York Knicks organization and making them relevant and uplifting them from purgatory. But part of the job is also answering to a fan base when you make some of the decisions that you make. And press releases with weak, non-substantive statements are not supposed to be a part of the job. But the New York Knicks have mastered the art of saying absolutely, positively nothing. When it comes to telling the media what they do. And I think they deserve to be scrutinized because of it.
I tell you, I listen to you. It's like I'm getting an education here. I don't know anything that's going on. I mean, I'm very impressed with your command of this situation. But, are there any, to me, when I hear you, you sound like a real expert on this stuff. You've studied it. You were a journalist, the whole thing, and I respect that. But, earlier I was playing some tape of Mad Dog. And I was playing some tape of his old partner, whatever his name is, Mike and the Mad Dog. Mike was blaming, either it was Rose or he was blaming Dolan.
He was blaming Rose.
And he was blaming Rose.
And
Mad Dog was playing Dolan or something like that. It's like nobody really knows. I know, if I was
and
to
that's exactly how they want it. And that's exactly how they want it.
No one wants to take responsibility.
Because it's hard to attach, like an amoeba, it's hard to attach accountability to them. You understand? Now, ultimately, it comes to Leon Rose, who has control of basketball operations. And so I'm not going to accuse him of shirking his responsibilities. He knows that ultimately the buck stops with him. And he's of the mindset that as long as we win on a basketball court, they can say anything. They can get away with anything. I understand that part. And he's not wrong in thinking that way and saying that way. I'm just saying, if Stephen A. Smith is the head of basketball operations for the New York Knicks, and I'm looking at the loyalty that the New York Knicks fan base gives to this franchise, time and time and time again, despite how undeserving they were of it for many, many years. At the very least, I'm going to make sure they know, yo, this is why we made this decision. Here's where I stand on it. Look at me. The buck stops with me. Whether it's his relationship with players, whether it's that we needed a new voice, whether it's that, you know what, if the players don't want to admit that they don't like him, I'm going to tell you, I didn't like some of the things that he did. This is what I want. Look at who's in the NBA Finals. Daigneault coaches the Oklahoma City Thunder. He's been there for 5 years. He uses 9 to 10 guys. He's got a league MVP and one of only 2 players in the entire NBA that made both the all-defense, all-NBA team and the all-defense team. Okay. And in the coaching Rick Carlisle in Indianapolis, I got a guy who's a champion in Dallas from 2011, who, by the way, has resurrected the Indiana Pacers franchise, walked away from Luka Doncic in Dallas to do it, to come to Indiana, to take this job. And back-to-back years, this man has us deep into the playoffs in the Eastern Conference Finals. And this man has played 11 dudes at least 15 minutes a game for the entire regular season. When we see that kind of preparation, we understand the ingredients that it takes to elevate your team to championship status. We believe we gave this man 5 years to do that. He didn't do it. It's time to make a change. That's where I stand. If you do something like that, we may like it. We may not like it. We may criticize you for it, but we got to own up to the fact that you deserve the right as president of basketball operations to stand on your decision, because the New York Knicks were nothing until you got here. We get that part. You just wish that they had the decency and the courage to look at the media and say, yo, this is where we stand. But that's not the New York Knicks organization, and that's the problem.
You know, I like what you're saying here. You're saying I need to hear certain things about my team. I want to be in the know. I want to understand your thinking. It seems like a simple request, actually, what you're saying. I think the organization should listen to you. I think the point you're making is very, very sincere and intelligent. It seems like an intelligent point of view. Why not? Transparency.
Well, not just that. You also want to shred at least the veneer, if dare I say, if not the reality of looking at Knicks fans and making sure they don't feel like you're saying to them, shut up and come to the game. Right. Our job is to run basketball. Your job is to be quiet until you show up to the Garden and then cheer for us. All of a sudden, when stuff like this happens, now you think about the Charles Oakley is being removed from the game by security because of him insulting Dolan purportedly, or a little kid that's barely a teenager being removed from the Garden because he was asking Dolan years ago to sell the team. You start thinking about all the little petty, petulant, unnecessary things exercised by a grown man who owns the New York Knicks franchise. Instead of thinking about this basketball team and debating whether or not the right decision was made and why, and having their substantive comments to consider as you formulate your thoughts and opinions about what they've done, instead you're left to feel as a Knicks fan, shut up, watch us play. And that's what it is. And they're basically telling us to kick rocks. And I don't like that. I don't like it.
I'm thinking about you right now, and I'm thinking you must do a tremendous amount of research every day to be this up on it and have these kind of opinions. I mean, you must really spend hours a day either watching games or analyzing what's going on in the industry. I mean, you seem on top of it.
I have a career. I don't have a job.
That's why
a job is doing what you have to do to get by, sustain, or elevate your quality of life. Your career is doing what you want to do that just so happens to do those things. This is a career I've chosen. I live, eat, and breathe it. I'm watching games.
What does it mean?
What does it mean? I'm listening to it on radio, the whole bit.
What does it mean to live, eat, and breathe it? That's why I always ask you about your personal life. I go, you have time for a woman? I don't even see how you really have time to be fully there, loving. What's going on?
If you're a thriving heterosexual man, you always make time for things like that. You find the time. It's not about having the time. It's about making the time. So you do what you got to do. There's DVR for a reason. There's delay for a reason. Hell, sometimes you're doing your thing with the TV on live. It don't matter. You're multitasking. Whatever it takes. You got to have enjoyment.
But if I'm a woman and I'm in a relationship with you, what do I witness every day? You wake up, are you like right on the computer looking through every bit of sporting news? Are you DVRing? I mean, how much time? Every morning.
Every morning I wake up. Well, it's not just news. I mean, I love, social issues, politics, etc. So every morning, I'm looking for columns and what the news of the day is, not just in the world of sports, but I'm reading the Wall Street Journal. I'm reading a little bit of the New York Times. I'm ESPN.com, Yahoo Sports. The list goes on and on. I'm about what's percolating. I'm a news guy at heart. And what I mean by that is whatever the world is talking about, whatever the world or the nation is transfixed on, I want to know what that is too. And I just so happen to love sports. So it's dual tasking. Sometimes it intertwines because the biggest story in the country is sports related. Sometimes that happens. I was the guy that broke the story years ago that LeBron James was taking his talents to South Beach. He was departed from Cleveland to go to the Miami Heat. I was the first one to break that story. And so
how do you break a story? How do you find that out? How do you break that story? How do you find out?
You cultivate sources and people who are in the know, which are usually very, very few. You find a way to have a connection to them where you get access to that information. It's like anybody else covering the White House, covering City Hall.
Do you have
sports?
Do you have inside sources on when you're talking about the Knicks? Do you know for a fact that it was either Leon Rose or Jim Dolan who made this decision on Tom Thibodeau?
Sure.
You know for a fact who made the decision.
Sure,
and it was Leon Rose.
Yeah.
And you know that why? Because you have a secret source inside the organization that tells you.
I have multiple secret sources all over the league.
Look at you.
All over sports. I've been doing this for 30 years. Of course I have.
So you picked up the phone and you said, look, I got to know.
You're damn right I did. You're damn right I did.
How many people did you speak to about this?
About three.
About three. And they all said to you, look, I'm telling you. They're not speculating. In other words, they are in.
James Dolan has his feelings, but James Dolan sees the job that Leon Rose has done and has left basketball decisions to him. Of course, Leon Rose has his feelings. Of course, he has people that would give him advice. And Leon Rose is a very thoughtful man from the standpoint, and I'm talking about with the media. He ain't thoughtful with the media at all, but he is thoughtful with the personnel that works under his stewardship. So those individuals, it could be assistant GMs, it could be player personnel directors, it could be other coaches, it certainly could be some of the players as well. Leon Rose is going to talk to folks before he deduces what's the right decision to be made and before he ultimately makes that decision. But the call is his.
I see. So when these other guys are saying it was Dolan, they're wrong. It was Rose who made the decision on Tom
Yes,
Thibodeau.
It was.
What happens to a guy like Thibodeau? Does he go to another team or is he done?
Probably. Well, he is 67, but he is considered one of the elite basketball minds, particularly defensively. So he'll always have a job if he wants one. If not as the head coach, definitely as a lead assistant patrolling one team's defense. Remember years ago, the Boston Celtics in 2008 won the NBA championship. Tom Thibodeau was their lead assistant and their de facto defensive coordinator for the team. You usually don't have a defensive coordinator in anything but football. But for basketball purposes, he's such a specialist in coaching defense that he was the lead assistant under Doc Rivers in Boston when they won the championship, and then when they ultimately turned around and went to the NBA Finals again in 2010, and they lost in the Game 7 against the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm having brain fog here in terms of 2010, but I know he was the lead assistant in 2008. And the reason that resonates with me so badly is because the Phoenix Suns were considered to be an elite team. They had Steve Nash, they had Amari Stoudemire, they had an abundance of other players, Sean Marion and others, and people were looking at them to capture a championship. Steve Kerr, the ultimate 4-time championship coach with the Golden State Warriors, was running basketball operations for the Phoenix Suns at that time. Mike D'Antoni was the coach, and Steve Kerr wanted to hire Tom Thibodeau as a defensive wizard. And Mike D'Antoni didn't want it. Mike D'Antoni was famous for his offensive brilliance. He was the guy that incorporated an offense where you'd shoot the basketball in 7 seconds or less, even though there was 24 seconds on the shot clock. Push the ball up the court at all times. Get off a quick shot as easy as you can. Shoot the three or shoot a layup. If you pulled up for a mid-range shot at times, Mike D'Antoni would take you out of the game. there was a play. This is a true story. This is a true story, Howard. There was a guy by the name of Jimmy Jackson. He does an outstanding job as a college basketball analyst right now on various networks, Big Ten networks and other places, sometimes with TNT. Does a really, really good job, a good guy. And Jim Jackson had gotten traded to the Phoenix Suns. And when he got traded to the Phoenix Suns, he had dribbled the ball up the court and he committed a turnover. The guy stole the ball from him and went the other way. And Jimmy Jackson ran down to prevent the guy from scoring on a layup, slapped his arm and fouled him. D'Antoni screamed at him, told him to come over here, come over here, come over here. And Jimmy Jackson walked over to Mike D'Antoni, and Mike D'Antoni said, "We don't do that here. You let that man score. Do not stop him from scoring. It slows up the pace.
Wow.
We want to quicken the pace." You understand? So that was like, it was a big deal because that was foreign in the NBA at the time. It's physical. They're not trying to let you score. Yeah, pace is good, but you don't want to let somebody score. You want to get stops. And Mike D'Antoni wasn't about that. And Steve Kerr knew in order to win championships, you got to be willing to play some defense. Mike D'Antoni's position is it's all about outscoring you. And so I bring that up because that's where Tom Thibodeau really made a name for himself, because when Boston won, even though Doc Rivers was the head coach, a lot of people gave Tom Thibodeau credit because he had their defense looking absolutely spectacular. It ultimately got him a head coach in the NBA in Chicago, which ultimately transitioned to an NBA head coach in Minnesota before he ultimately came to New York. And all three stops, his rigidity, not his basketball acumen, not his basketball, no, but his stubbornness, his rigidity, his refusal to utilize depth has been the Achilles heel that he's been criticized for throughout his coaching career.
But don't you think it's demeaning? Like, like, oh, man, I used to be the head coach of the Knicks. Now I'm going to go be an assistant coach again somewhere?
You're absolutely right. But here's the question. Do you want a job or don't you? I mean, we don't want unemployment. We don't want unemployment.
I want to work. I want to work.
Now, sometimes you want to be, of course you want to be the man. Listen, I'm the man right now, they say, okay? But listen, if ESPN comes to me 5 years from now, 10 years from now and say, look, man, you're not what you used to be. Now, do I take a reduction in salary or do I end up unemployed? If those are my two choices and I want to work, chances are I'm going to take that reduction in salary, that reduction in stature. That's the way it goes. That's life. There's always new blood.
I'm impressed with your masculinity. I got to tell you. I mean, the way you're talking about sport, I am so the opposite. Like, would you ever watch Sex and the City on TV?
I used to. I love that. I love that show. Absolutely. Samantha,
really?
Listen, I mean, Samantha was, I'm talking about the character on the show. Samantha was a freak, you know. I mean, she wouldn't have been my kind of woman, but I didn't mind watching
but you,
her. You know, Sarah Jessica Parker, I didn't mind watching that. I mean, come on now. I mean, listen, you're talking to a guy that acts on the soap opera General Hospital. My character's name is Brick. I'm a surveillance expert for the mob. Do you know they're thinking about giving me a love interest? I mean, I should say they're thinking about it. I'm the holdup. I should say they're thinking about it. I'm the holdup.
What's wrong with you? Why won't you do it? Are you crazy?
Frank Valentini is the executive producer at General Hospital, one of the best people that I've seen in this business. He's a spectacular mind and deserves a lot of credit. Multi-time Emmy Award-winning producer, etc. And he brought me on the show. I did a scene with the star of the show, Maurice Bernard, who plays the character Sonny Corinthos. He's a dear friend of mine. I've been watching General Hospital since I was 8 years old. It's now 49 years that I've been watching General Hospital. And so the three major stars on the show is Sonny Corinthos character, played by Maurice Bernard. There's a Laura Wright, who her name is Carly on the show. Carly Corinthos, and Jackson. She's got married a few times, whatever, but she's my girl. If I ever swirled, if I ever went the route of going from a black woman to a white woman, it would be her. I love me some Carly. Laura Wright is great. She's fantastic.
You've never been with a white woman? Ever?
No. Well, I'm not going to go that far.
I thought that was the big announcement.
I've had. Now, this is not the big announcement. I've had my dalliances in life, but no, that's not. I'm not one that's known for swirl. I love the sisters. What can I tell you? Right? And my girl.
Nothing wrong with that.
But life is life. And then you have, so you have that going on. Laura Wright, her character is Carly, and Steve Burton, who plays Jason. And so me, Brick, being the surveillance expert for the mob, I love it because I work with them. I actually killed somebody just about 3 weeks ago. I murdered somebody. An assassin tried to take out my boss. It was smooth. You got to go see it. It was smooth, right? But anyway,
I would watch that. Yes.
But anyway, my point is, the executive producer comes to me, Steven, the audience loves you. I say, yeah, man, I'm having a good time. He's like, you're not understanding me. They want you to have a love interest.
Absolutely.
Right?
I want
and
that.
the character's name is Jordan, who's a pretty attractive lady, So, I mean.
Jordan would be your love interest.
She would be my love interest, right? So they had me flirt with her. Because, I do know how to do that, okay?
Yes.
And so when they had me doing that, here's what happened. Jordan, I went to the executive producer and I said, look, I got a day job. Here's the problem. If you're going to have a love interest, I got to have time. I don't have time for that, So I don't want to compromise my mob ties to be to have a love interest. So she went in a different direction with somebody else. They were messing around for a little bit, but they broke up. But no, I did it. That's what I'm going to tell you. I was like, yo, I didn't blow it. I didn't blow it at all. Really, because here's what happened. The relationship dissolved. And I go to the executive producer. What happened? He said, Steven, the audience wants you. They want Brick. So we have to make this happen. I said, all right, man. And he said, we got to have you. And we got to have you with an interest, a lover. And I said, and I don't know what he's going to do about this, but I'm tipping you off. I'm giving you some news here. I'm giving you some news. SoapNet and all the soap opera news network, all that stuff, they're going to eat this up. But let me tell you what happened. So I go to the executive producer. I say to him, look, man, I appreciate that. But you probably, first things first, you probably going to want me to do a shirtless scene. I said, I have to get myself ready. I need about a month. I was doing great. But then I inflamed my elbows and I had to stop lifting, right? I said, no, I got to be tight. My elbows are hurt, but damn it, I'll go through it because I ain't going on the scene for soap opera half naked and I ain't on my game. That's not happening, okay? I said, that's number one. I said, number two, as I'm doing this, right? I said, I have a suggestion. I've been watching soaps for years. One of my dearest friends is Eric Braeden, who plays Victor Newman on Young and the Restless. One of my dearest friends. I love him. He's like a big brother, father figure to me. I love him dearly. We meet for lunch or dinner every time I'm in L.A., and I'm out in L.A. at least once a month. So we meet every month, okay? And I had to sit up there and I said, listen, here's the deal. All of these soap opera scenes, it's too much relationship stuff. I said, whatever happened to, you got tired of this girl trying to act like she don't want you when you know she wants you. And you just corner her and you look her in the face and all of a sudden y'all primal instincts kick in and you got a one night stand. You understand? But you did such a fabulous job that she's constantly thinking about you, even though there's not much going on thereafter. I said, what about that? And the executive producer's like, I love that. I might have to consider that. So anything's possible is what I'm saying. Could be a relationship, could be a one night stand. I don't know. But the lover boy Stephen A. AKA
my
Brick,
hope for you is my hope for you is that you do get a love scene because there is not. I mean, it's fantastic. It gives you the opportunity to make out.
Howard? How would you know?
I did a movie.
You did a movie? A love scene?
And yes, and I had a full erection whenever I was.
Oh my God.
No, I'm being serious. I was aroused. I'll tell you how masculine I am. You're supposed to be professional. I couldn't help it. Kissing a woman, I got a boner.
That problem right there. That's the problem right there. See, that's why I would never date an actress because you can't convince me that don't happen. You can't convince me that you are actress and you doing a scene with an actor and it ain't nothing going on. I don't believe that for 1 second. My woman ain't gonna be doing some love scene and then we turn around and you gonna come home acting like we good. Hell no, you felt nothing. That's a damn lie. I don't believe it at all.
Now you're talking about something I know about, all right? Now, I don't know about sports, but this I know. These actresses are getting aroused. Now, listen, the big announcement is not that you might possibly be doing shirtless love scenes with the Jordan.
Well,
there is a
big
bigger announcement to
It
be
is a
made,
big
and I'm
announcement,
getting
you know,
yelled at. I'm getting yelled at over the computer that you haven't made this announcement, and press is waiting anxiously to hear your announcement. And I do thank you for making an announcement, because nobody ever makes an announcement on this show.
Well-
They go everywhere else. So thank you for that. Are you ready to make your big announcement?
Well, listen, Scott Greenstein, your president at Sirius XM. This is, you know, he loves the drum roll stuff and stuff like that. I don't blame him, no. The man knows how to sell stuff. September 2nd, the day after Labor Day, Tuesday, September 2nd, I return to Sirius XM with my
Wow.
own show, the Stephen A. Smith Show. I'm
right.
coming back to Sirius XM.
I
I'll be
like
on
that.
Mad Dog. I'll be on Mad Dog Sports Radio,
Right.
leading into Mad Dog 1 to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every weekday. Mad Dog comes on 3 to 6, and then the re-air of my show from 6 to 8 follows his show as well. So you'll hear me on Sirius XM Mad Dog Radio, and I'm also having my own political show, social commentary, call it whatever you want, on or likely on POTUS, on the POTUS channel once
On
a
Sirius
week.
XM?
Starting that's on Sirius XM, the POTUS channel,
And-
Sirius XM. But that
and
same
here's the
week,
key
I'll be starting
question.
my own political show. Yes.
Is this a multi-year deal with
Yes, it
Sirius
is.
XM? It is.
Yes, it is.
Is it an exclusive deal? The only place we can get Stephen A. Smith for these shows is right here at Sirius XM.
That is correct, on audio.
Look
yes,
at
sir.
this. Look
Yeah.
at you with your big
Yeah.
announcement. Well, first
So
of all,
that's
let me
the deal.
welcome you, because you
Thank
know
you.
I'm a fan, and you know I
Thank you.
like your honesty, and I like the way you got opinions, and you're a guy who's well informed. You know, you're not sitting there bullshitting. At least if you are, I can't detect it.
No, I don't bullshit.
You don't
That's
bullshit,
wasted
and
energy.
you got
That's wasted
information.
energy.
So welcome. I believe the subscribers are happy. It's one
Yeah.
more thing to listen to that they can enjoy, and
I'm
I'm all
coming.
for it. I'm all
Yeah.
for it.
So
Now
you
I'll be
won't
able to
be
say,
partisan. You are a straight shooter. If you like something, you like it,
I-
regardless
I'm-
of your
I'm-
politics. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm a registered independent. I flow, you know, sometimes the right does things right. Sometimes the left does things right. So obviously more often than not, they're both wrong. And I don't give a damn who it is. I'm going to call it like I see it. But, you know, it's tricky because sports, you know, that's, I'm very, very comfortable in that lane. Politics, the prism of history always ends up teaching you something that you didn't know in the moment. So going out there with your feelings, you in my opinion, Robin and Howard, you just have to be one of those individuals that emphasizes in the moment based on the facts we know. Here is where I stand.
All right, well, listen.
As opposed to thinking that you just, you know, you got it all covered, because sometimes that's not the case.
Stephen A. Smith, who claims the A is about his mother and not some show
Yes.
business A. Stephen A. Smith will host the daily live sports show on Mad Dog Radio. You and Mad Dog are I hope there'll be some crossover between you two. I like
Of
when
course,
you
of
guys
course, of
when
course.
you guys mix it up.
But his opening, here's the problem. You got to wait for his opening, because his opening is the greatest in sports, if not in all of radio. I have never had an opening. The two openings that I've ever loved the most is Mad Dog Russo's opening. Good afternoon, everybody. You know, he's going crazy. And also, I love it. You know, I absolutely love it. That, and I love the opening to The Sopranos, despite the fact that I had DVR and all this stuff. I always ran to the television screen just to hear the opening. Doom, do 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 doom, doom. I mean,
You love
I
the
just
music.
loved
The music.
I love the music. The opening, yes.
Is Mad Dog your boss? You're appearing on Mad Dog. Is he now your boss? And that's what I'm worried about in this deal. This big announcement.
I assure you that is not the case.
If
That
Mad
is not
Dog
the
comes
case.
to you and he says, Stephen A., I taped your show today. Let's sit down. I'm going to review it and see maybe a few
No, he
things I
wouldn't.
can improve. He would never try
No.
that with you.
He would never try that with me. No, he would not.
That would
I
not go
don't-
well.
I
You're not
mean,
open?
Scott,
You're not
the
open?
president Scott Greenstein and those above him,
Right.
like we all answer to somebody. I don't own Sirius XM, so we
Right.
all. I can't stand fools out there who act like they run their own thing. They got their own podcast. They got their own YouTube channel, whatever. Guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't give a damn who you are. Everybody answers to somebody. Scott
Absolutely.
Greenstein and the bosses at Sirius XM. That's a different level. But that's about it. That's about it. Just like at ESPN, you know, obviously everybody knows that I re-upped with them months ago as well. Yeah, I answer to the president, Jimmy Pitaro. I answer to the executive VP, Dave Roberts. I answer to the president of content, Burke Magnus. I'm just saying you kind of got to be on that level to be my boss. You know,
so
I mean,
if
you're
Scott
lower than that,
Greenstein,
you ain't a boss.
If Scott Greenstein calls you into a meeting and says, Stephen A., I have to discuss a few things with you, you're going to the meeting. You're going to be there with Scott. You're going to be there. But Mad Dog, no. We're telling Mad Dog right now, if he wants to have a meeting with you, forget
Mad Dog
it.
wouldn't try it. Do I get to call Mad Dog and tell him I want to review his show?
I hope not. I mean, exactly. I would not think so.
He's got his show. I have mine.
Well, listen.
But I will tell you this. I insisted on being on his channel because I love Doggy. And that's my buddy right there. I love him to death. I love what he's done for me at ESPN. Well, he's an intense guy, but he's a really, really good man. He really, really is. His wife is wonderful. His family is wonderful. I just got an immense amount of love for him. He means the world to me. And if I was going to do a sports talk show on Sirius XM, there's only one place I wanted to do it, and that was on his channel.
Well, let me welcome you and tell you, you picked a great day to join this company. At 3 p.m. today, they are giving away free donuts. And I'm not making a joke. It was announced at 3 p.m. Some of my staff is upset. I don't know if you're going to be critical of SiriusXM management. They feel a lot of people work earlier in the day, and donut is more of like a breakfast item, maybe lunch. And that to give it after 3 p.m., a lot of people won't be here for the free donuts. Some people are upset about that. I'm not kidding.
Right.
So where do you stand on that?
Well, let me say, first of all, all right, donuts are cool. We get that part. But I would sincerely hope that people are not crying over missing out on free donuts. First of all, everything worth having, sometimes there's a cost that should come with it, number one. If it's free, that means it's cheap. And if it's cheap, that means it's devoid of intrinsic value. And you got to take that into consideration. The other thing is that I would sincerely hope that people understand we work for a living. And so when you work, the better shape you're in, the better you can perform at your job. Donuts ain't always the way to go.
I told my staff that. Yes.
As an aside, I want to take a moment to recognize this because I never did this before. But Howard Stern, I have a dear friend of mine, one of my best friends on the planet. Her name is Tanya Fox.
Okay.
There is no bigger fan of the Howard Stern show than Tanya Fox. There is no bigger fan.
She is a bigger fan than Marianne from Brooklyn, you're saying.
She does not miss your show.
Wow.
She watches, she listens to it live every morning. If she's home, she's watching it on video right now. If she's in her car, she is listening to it in her car. She never, and I'm talking about since you arrived at SiriusXM. She is, so she's watching right now. Tape me and telling me, giving me info. She said, your movie, Private Parts, is what it was called. She knows the stuff off the top of the head. I mean, if she appeared on Jeopardy and the subject was you, she'd win. Every day, all day. So I just want you to know you got that kind of love from her. Say hello to Tanya Fox.
Stephen A. will also be covering the NBA Finals on TV starting this Thursday for ABC. Oklahoma City Thunder versus Indiana Pacers. I see you on there all the time. And you're a fabulous success. We love having you on, and congratulations on your big announcement, and welcome to the family. I love it.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate you, too. There he is, Stephen A. Smith, with his big announcement, and I'm happy he's going to be here at SiriusXM. One more great reason to listen to SiriusXM and subscribe.